Hey VC, it's Dave here. Thought I'd get on here and show a few of the finds that I've found in the past couple of weeks or months or whatever. The library, I found a few CDs down at the library here, down at thrift shops and various places. So might as well get into it. Picked this up. This is a 2 CD set by Rocky Erickson, a musician from Austin, and it's called I Have Always Been Here Before, the Rocky Erickson Anthology, and it's on the Shout record label, and like I said, it's a 2 CD set, and it's loaded with songs, and folds out like this. This has some music on it from the early 13th Floor Elevator, which I had some of, but not everything, and then it has some stuff by Rocky Erickson and the Alien, which I have one album by them as well, but not you know, any rare tracks or anything like that. So yeah, I thought I'd pick it up. It's probably be pretty interesting. I don't think I've heard any of this yet, but look forward to hearing some of it. So anyway, 2 CD set there. This is Duke Ellington, Latin American Suite. This is on the Fantasy label, I guess, or the Original Jazz Classics. All those record labels merged after a while, but yeah, if you go on Discogs and look up Duke Ellington's discography, you'll see, you know, he's had a lot of albums that he has released and everything, and I don't know if this is one of his better ones. It may not be. Latin American Suite, but I listened to it, and it's a fun album. It's kind of a large ensemble album, and you know, it's fun to listen to, sort of big bandish, but yeah, Duke Ellington. Kind of a, I wouldn't say blind buy. I used to listen to these guys back in the day, but kind of the spur of the moment buy. Very best of Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. Walk like a man, talk like a man, sing like a little girl. Mighty Sparrow. I first heard about him on this album here that was a compilation by Peter Gabriel. And Mighty Sparrow plays one cut off of here, which is called, what is it called? Music and Rhythm, which is the title of the anthology here. And he's a Trinidad musician, and supposedly has a lot of albums out, like 20 plus, but the album on here I always liked, and this is an album that has musicians and then original musicians from around the world, and then artists that were more or less influenced by them. So you have like one musician from, say, Africa, followed by more popular artists like, say, maybe Peter Gabriel, or you know, XTC is on there as well. But this album here is pretty neat. I've only heard it once, and it's a real energetic album. Like I said, it's calypso music and a little bit of African music in there as well, highlight music, and it's pretty energetic, pretty fun to listen to. This is a Spirits, an anthology by them, and I have already had, I don't know, many albums by Spirit, everything that probably is covered on here, except on this album there's some soundtrack music from an old 60s, I think it came out in 68, 69 movie called The Model Shop. So I was real interested in hearing some of that. And I've seen The Model Shop before on TV back when I had Turner Classic Movies, and really I kind of found it underwhelming and didn't particularly care for the movie itself. But since they had done that soundtrack, you know, after I guess it was after their album, their third album, which I think is called I forget now, Clear, I believe is the name of it. I thought it would be interesting to hear what that sounded like. It also came with a little booklet and you know, a little write-up and what have you of the band. And so it's got songs from their, you know, first, second, and third album, all the way up into that soundtrack. You know, and I really like Clear. Might be my favorite album by them because it kind of gets more jazzy by that time. But yeah, anyway, 2 CD set by Spirit. This is now picked up by Carlos Santana, Divine Light. And this is, excuse me, this is supposedly reconstructions and mixed translations by Bill Laswell. And what it is Bill Laswell took 2 of Santana's albums, one of them called Illuminations, which he had done with Alice Coltrane and a bunch of other musicians, and Love, Devotion, and Surrender, which he had done with John McLaughlin and a bunch of other musicians. People like Billy Cobham and Larry Young, Don Elias, I believe is how you say his name, and Jan Hammer, Dave Holland, just a bunch of other musicians were on those 2 albums. And then which had 2 Coltrane songs on one of them. One was A Love Supreme by John Coltrane, and the other was Namia, perhaps is how it's pronounced. Anyway, Laswell reconstructed it or remastered it or whatever, and put out this album, and it's a really neat album. Particularly, you know, if you're a Santana fan anyway, you'd probably really like it. And I've listened to it twice now and have enjoyed it both times. So yeah, Carlos Santana, Divine Light. The first summer I kind of got into a dub mood because there was a guy that I heard a interview with on NPR radio talking about he had made this new dub album, and if I can find it again, I'll post it. He has an album up on Bandcamp, and he's a musician from Puerto Rico, but he was talking about this album and a little bit about dub, and so I dug this album out. I actually found this is a 3 CD set that I found at Half Price Books for $2, and it's a compilation of all different type of dub musicians, most I've not heard of, and it may have had a little booklet with it, you know, at the time, I don't know, but it just came with the 3 CDs with a little bit of a write-up, you know, on the back of it. And I say it may have came with a book of it. I don't know that for a fact, but anyway, it has a bunch of reggae artists on here, and a little bit of dub as well. So yeah, really great little buy for $2. I picked this up by Sharon Isbin, Dream of a World, and she's a folk classical guitarist, from Portugal, I believe. I read where she's from, and she says she started playing guitar at I don't know, really young age, at maybe say 9 years old or something like that. But this is folk inspired music for guitar, and some of it is also by a classical artist, but you have Igberto Gismonte, she does a song by him on here, and just several other people from various parts of the world. He's about the only one that I know of, although there's one by a Toru Takamishu, which I believe is a classical composer. And as you might imagine, this is just a real interesting mix of composers that she has all put together here and playing. Like a lot of classical guitar, it's real easy listening. Good album to wind down to at the end of the day or something like that. Found this at one of the thrift shops. This is Bill Evans' Waltz for Debbie, which I didn't have. And Bill Evans, I mean, I haven't heard a bad album by Bill Evans yet, so yeah. This is Bill Evans piano, and Paul Motion plays the drums, and then there's a bass on here by Scott LaFaro. So yeah, Waltz for Debbie. Found this by Cal Jader and Stan Getz. I haven't heard this album yet. I picked up a couple others by them, which I didn't bring with me, but I'm sure it'll be pretty good. I just haven't heard it yet. And you know, Cal Jader plays the vibes there. Stan Getz plays the tenor sax. Vince Guaraldi is on piano. Eddie Duran plays guitar. Scott LaFaro, which is on this Waltz for Debbie here, is on bass. And you got Billy Higgins on drums. So yeah, it should be pretty good. I just haven't heard it yet, but look forward to listening to it. This is John Adams' classical music. On here he does 3 compositions, and the Halley Orchestra, just some of the orchestration behind it. So yeah, I've heard this already. I believe it has a little bit of female singing in it, but it doesn't bother me any. Century Rolls is the first composition, which is broken up into 3 movements. And then you've got Emanuel Axe on piano along with the Cleveland Orchestra that does this Century Rolls piece. And then you've got Lollapalooza, and then Slaminsky's Earbox is the 3rd composition, conducted by Kent Nagano. So yeah, it's a little bit avant-garde, but at the same time it's not so avant-garde that it's, you know, would, I don't think, turn most people off unless they just don't like classical music. But I like it pretty well, actually, of what I've heard of it. So this is let's see if I can pronounce his name. Gorecki is his, I forget his first name though. Henrik Gorecki. I believe he's Polish. And he does, this is the new ECM label, what they refer to as their new ECM label, which is just, I think, them highlighting classical composers and some types of jazz too, and also some kind of choral works. But on here, this is just mostly an organ album, and this album here would probably appeal to maybe, maybe, I don't know, 5% of the VC community because of that factor. It's just organ works, and then the Sarah Leonard is the soprano. Sometimes she sings as well. And there are four composers on here that they cover. One of them is the Henrik Gorecki, Erickson. There's a piece on here by him. Another French composer, which I looked up, Darius. I can't pronounce his last name, but I looked it up, and he was French as well. And then Gavin Breyers, which I believe is English, or British composer. But like I said, it's just solo organ with occasional soprano singing. For me, I can get into it. I don't know how many other people would be interested in this, but I listened to it for about a week after I bought it, and found it pretty enjoyable. This is another one on that ECM new series. This is Arvo Part. That is a litany, and I believe he is a Estonian composer. But this is a little bit like this one here in some ways. It's austere and kind of stark music, but I think a little bit more approachable. Not much of an album jacket here. It's just white on both sides. But yeah, real interesting, kind of stark and moody classical music. On here you have the Hilliard Ensemble, the Tillon Chamber Orchestra, Estonian Philharmonic Chamber Choir. So there is a little bit of singing on here too. And Tanu Kaljitsi is the composer, Kaljitsu perhaps. And there are 3 songs on here: Litany, Psalms, and Triskanon, something like that. So yeah, this came out in 1996, but yeah, was happy to find it, particularly for the price. This is a Keith Jarrett album on the ECM label. It came out in 1999, so it's one of his later releases, and it's just him on piano. And I mean, he's made a lot of albums similar in this vein. Some of them are kind of traditional show tunes, like let's see here. Good Night. There was a song here I recognized. Someone to Watch Over Me. Shenandoah was one I recognized. But just various songs that he, does solo piano to. And again, it's just something that pretty easy to get into if you like piano music. So, Keith Jarrett, not too different from some of his other albums, but I like it. This is William Grant Steele. He was, I bought this down at the library, Afro-American Symphony, In Memoriam, African Symphony Poem. Kind of he's a modern composer, and he's African American, and one of the few African American composers that I'm aware of. I'm sure there are others, but this is just the first one that I bought by an African American. Fort Smith Symphony. Although he's a modern contemporary composer, it's not avant-garde or anything like that, I don't think. It's kind of like along the lines of maybe Aaron Copland or maybe Leonard Bernstein, somebody like that. Not Aaron Copland's Billy the Kid Suite by any means, but just sort of melodic, maybe moody, and They compare him a little bit to Edgar Varese, but I couldn't hear that in it. I think it's a little bit more accessible, or a lot more accessible than something like that. But yeah, Goodbye. It's on that Naxos label. Yeah, Naxos, which is kind of a budget line label, but you know, I like it a lot. And I picked this one up. This is the Yoshimatsu Memo Flora, which is piano music. It's piano, and I think there's some cello, and this is the pianist here, and there's some piano on it as well, on the Chandos label. And I bought this off the, or didn't buy it actually, I traded it. There's a site out there called Swap a CD, which is where I got this. And you know, I got this in another one, which is this one here, Takemitsu. This one didn't come without, this one came without the cover, which this one is, here is all complete solo piano by Paul Crossley. And both of these are pretty interesting CDs if you like piano music. Like I said, this one has a little bit of piano, or a little bit of cello on it, and I think another instrument. I don't know if it's harp or what, but yeah, both of them are solo piano music, or solo with cello, and then this one here is all piano by itself. Anyway, that's about all I've been listening to here lately. Picked up a few more CDs, which I can go into a little bit later. Been sort of spot reading this book here by Stephen King Companion by this George Brimth. That's how you pronounce it, I'm not sure. 4 Decades of Fear for the Master of Horror. Been watching this guy talk about Stephen King on YouTube. His name is Lorne, I believe is his, forget his first name. But anyway, it's a nice thick book by this guy here, kind of a biography and kind of a little bit about all of Stephen King's career, with some neat pictures, just talking about different stages of, you know, Stephen King and how he grew up, and various things like that. You know, talking about different, you know, when he first started out, and even going back to his high school years, you know, and writing back then. So, yeah, it's been a really interesting book. You know, if you're interested in Stephen King, you know, it's a worthwhile read and worth picking up. So there it is. Hope everybody's doing well out there and staying safe, and you know, enjoying your the wind down of summer. It usually didn't get cold here until like maybe, I don't know, maybe the latter part. Around Halloween is when you really notice it. That's what how I always thought about it. Whenever Halloween hits, then their cooler weather is usually here by the time in Texas. Anyway, I'll let you go.